sent to like, I don't know, whatever their religion is, like camp. Like literally it was like, you're going to go build barns and learn about your mistake. And
right. And didn't this happen a while ago though? So, I mean, they filmed it because it popped right on.
Or 2014.
Okay.
Because he married her in 2007. And then it was, 2011.
I remember when it first happened and he married her and they were on TV then too, Lauren, when that happened. It might have been with
I think that's when they
part of the parents.
Everybody started distant, like the advertisers were like, nah, we don't want to be affiliated with that.
Okay, so you don't think they film anymore. I was probably, something just popped on that, you know what I mean? It just came on after it. But anyway, if anybody has Discovery Plus, probably the very last season of that show, they probably talk about his first offenses because we watched it. We saw some of it.
No, what you're saying is just the sister. So basically all that went away.
Right.
And the one sister that everybody loves got a show. So it kind of continued on with some of the...
And was just with her talking about him.
It's like, you got rid of the bad egg so we can keep showing.
Okay. Because I thought, I was like, oh my God. Okay. Because I saw it looked like a couple of them looked the same, which I assumed they were sisters, and they were talking about him. Oh, and they were talking about the wife and how naive she is. Yes, Lauren, that's exactly what it was now that you said that. So it must have been Discovery Plus, and I didn't even hit pause or anything to figure out what episode or season it was. But I'm like, oh my God, this guy's been an asshole for a lot of years. They were talking about him.
I mean, his family is just essentially thinks that he's healed by God, I guess.
Well, look at the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those priests committed horrendous acts and
it didn't come to light until they looked into it, and then
but the church all knew, and they just moved those priests around.
They swept it under the Keepers documentary that was really telling about Boston or Baltimore.
Was there nuns in it too?
Yeah,
I watched some of that.
The nun that went missing is one of them that knew about the issue, and she had brought it up to the bishop, and then she went missing. So,
oh my God, can I tell you guys a story?
Yes, please.
It's probably really
just quickly while we're on this one, just quickly before you
go, Jen, go.
The other day, the Catholic Church, in 2020, paid out $4 billion in sexual abuse settlements. 2020 last year.
4 billion.
Like, granted, they didn't happen then. Like, some of that would be old cases.
Oh, a lot of it was because the statutory of limitations was running out. And I do remember all these commercials on my TV, like every hour, we're like, were you sexually harassed? You know what I mean? Like the law firms.
Sure.
We're saying if you were, you only have so much, like, please. And that's when I think a lot of people, went in. But then in one part of me was like, I mean, I know a lot of priests did horrible things, but couldn't someone just make shit up? Because some of them people were passed away that they accused and they still got money.
I wonder if they had to go to trial.
Doctors too, Lauren. It was everything. Like if you're a doctor or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so the lawyers were really like fishing for.
The Catholic Church settled for $4 billion?
With all of them.
A sexual lawsuit. Like that's what they paid out.
Where did they get $4 billion from, though?
Oh my God, they're so wealthy.
Tithing.
Richest country in the world.
The Catholic Church is so well. You know what though? They've got to be starting to get into some type of trouble financially, not just because of the lawsuits, but I think don't you think it's all gone down? Like the amount of people going to church. I know they're struggling to find priests because it's so archaic that they expect them to be celibate and they just can't find anybody. So they're bringing a lot of priests in from different countries where the missionary, they're going there and
recruiting them.
Yeah, but
that's part of the reason why I think the whole the Catholic Church and the Pope is progressive, but he's not actually super progressive because the church itself, the church system is not letting him be, even though they made him backtrack on some of those things that he said.
Right.
But that's, a big part of it is they say if they don't have to be celibate, if they could get married, maybe it would,
open the pool. More people would be more likely to do it, but not many people want to live that lifestyle.
It would be less attractive to pedophiles because it's not all males. And
well, you know what? I don't think the new generation of priests are necessarily pedophiles now. A lot of that is because, they were so suppressed back then that if a man was 25 to 30 and not married, never dated, because maybe he was closeted gay, he wasn't accepted. So they went into the priesthood. And a lot of it also, I think, was they just thought, I don't know if they thought they would be healed. You know what I mean? Like Catholic guilt.
I don't know that. I don't think it was only I think part of it was just the culture of being trapped and okay.
Do you really? Is that no? Because I've gotten into this debate with a lot of
into it because they liked Jen.
No. But a lot of people go, Jen.
I think a lot of the old school priests went into it because that was expected from them. Like the very, very Catholic families, like mom is going to church every single day and stuff like that.
Find your calling.
It's a very what's the word? Like an honorary, I guess, job. Like it was made, you grew up, you were like, what are the little ones that carry the candles?
But that wouldn't necessarily make you a pedophile.
No, right, but I think maybe if you grow up and you want to have sex and you get
I don't believe that. Honest to God, I believe that a lot of very dysfunctional people went into the church then to try to cover up or I'm serious. And I think that's why they had so many homosexual men back then going into the priesthood. But that I'm not saying that homosexual men are pedophiles. But I'm saying if you were a man and you wanted to have sex, that maybe a 17-year-old boy would be an easy
target,
but not necessarily for a pedophile. You know what I mean?
Why are these priests hooking up together then?
That's true.
I know they are.
They're afraid that they're gonna there's that power dynamic though. If you're the altar boy and the priest,
yes, right. And you're right. And I think a lot of that too, Lauren, is they, you know what I mean? They kind of I don't want to say but they kind of kiss the priest's ass because he is kind of like a famous person having their little minions that work for them, and they're yes men. You know what I mean?
Favorite altar boy, I might get the best shifts, and I'm obviously going to go to heaven.
Thank you. And there is, I think there's a lot of that, and
the hierarchy,
right. And I know that these boys are underage, but I'm also if they were older, would they be trying to date them too? I don't think it's so much like a pedophile. I don't know. It's I think they're mixture. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
well, and I think there's a big difference with hooking up with 15, 16, 17-year-old boy as opposed to
a 10-year-old.
Little children,
7, 8, 9-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. But
6-year-old boy and a 23-year-old priest, that's whatever. That's 16-year-old girl dating a 23-year-old guy. No one's giving it a double take.
Right. Go ahead.
I'm wondering, the priests that were the pedophiles. I think it's a pathological thing, right? You don't just become a pedophile because I'm bored. I don't like saying the word a pedophile. You know what I mean?
Right, I agree. I do.
Illness, or they
had that compulsion before, and I think they went in there to hide. Yeah, I don't think they went in there to be I'm going to get little boys. No, I think they went in there thinking, oh my God, I have these thoughts. They're wrong. I'm different. I'm not, you know what I mean? And they went in. Lauren, Dr. Dyson, I'm sure you could dive deep into all the studies about this because I'm totally not throwing out any factual study numbers. I'm giving you my thoughts on why I think a lot of people went into the church back in the 50s and 60s, which was a lot of these men's age by then. You know what I mean? When this was all happening and in the late 70s, 80s, you know what I mean? These were guys, I believe, that went in there, I think, to hide out when they were probably 17, 18 in the 50s and in 60s.
They probably thought too that like the praying and being in the church all the time would maybe take away those thoughts and those.
I do. I believe that too. And I do believe that, pedophiles, it's something that they can't control that urge. And that's why I think when they go to jail and they come out, it just continues.
Yeah. Well, you see that like want to be chemically castrated because they're like, as soon as I get out, I'm going to do it again. Like I literally have no control.
Right. And I know Dr. Dyson could look into the psyche of this also.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't really like to read up on like children rape and like cases.
Right. Well, I'm talking about the psyche.
I don't like to read. My book club will like pick a book and I'm like, oh, I'm out.
No, that's a lot. I agree. Like a whole book. But I'm saying like if you look at some of the statistics and studies, I think, you know what I mean? Like light searching. But no, I'm not going to read a whole book about like a memoir about somebody who was abused sexually and like horrifically throughout their whole life. I have to say there was a period in my life where those were only the books I read. But it was, for me, a lot of it was like, I would read a lot of books about women who, ended up in foster care and just had these horrible, horrible lives. And they just overcome and became a doctor or a lawyer. Like those were a lot. I would read a lot of those memoirs. Things like that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the abuse stuff, if you just like, I know there's a couple bestsellers that the abuse in it's just horrific.
I'm wondering if, they before they become a priest, they already had this neurological, pathological compulsion.
Right.
And then they're like, I'm going to become a priest. And then unfortunately, the Catholic Church never questioned them. They left them alone with
they never
people,
got the help
like godlike,
you were
these
tempted.
are priests. So they were able to hide and be,
you know
what I mean? So they were able to nobody's going to question this father so-and-so, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they get away with a lot. They get away with, besides being a pedophile, they get away with a lot of shit, they do.
They aided hiding them, right? Like if they got caught, they would just move them along. It's not
like they would.
Yes, they just moved them to another church parish.
Yeah, but I mean, I maybe later on tonight I will look into like the statistics and what they've studied up on that, because I mean, there's probably, I'm thinking like, a stereotypical, the gay man went into the church to hide out, and then people think, oh, well, he's a gay man, so he's automatically a pedophile. You know what I mean? It's not, but I'm sure people went in for tons of different reasons, but I do believe a lot of.
It's not only males. I mean, when you watch The Keepers, it was young females that they would pick to be like secretary assistant and
the priest.
Yeah.
And they went, okay, so I'm going to tell you.
So, okay.
Okay. I have a friend who is a lesbian, who is a little older than me at this point. She only slept with nuns because they were very easy to get.
I'm just like,
you say easy to get?
There was so many lesbian nuns.
Really? That's fascinating.
And she at the time was probably in her 30s.
Oh, okay.
And these women were like in their 50s. No, I'm talking older. And she used to go sleep in the parish. What is it? What did they used to call? Yes, the convent. And she said that all the nuns were sleeping with each other. They were all like had girls, not like, oh, I'm going to sleep with this one, but they were like they
were all in relationships.
Yes, and a lot of them had. Yes.
Oh, the boys are so jealous of they.
And a lot of the women that weren't in relationships with each other were lesbians, and they would have their female friends come, and she used to sleep in the convent all the time with them overnight and have sex with the nuns.
I bet it's really quiet there. I probably get a good night's sleep.
You also have to be very, very quiet in there.
Okay, but it
was very
like
clean,
It was a known fact. It's a known fact, Lauren.
And you get wine and snacks before bed.
No men around. You don't have to deal with stinking BO.
No diarrhea.